guys, Brad from simpleguitar.com here, and welcome to another video. Today we're actually not going to be touching the guitar, and this is a little bit more of an advanced thing that we're going to be talking about today, because I'm going to show you what to do if you get sheet music that has standard notation on it and no guitar tab, but you still got to play the song. Okay, so a lot of guitar players never need to be able to read standard notation and use it regularly. If you're going to college for music, or if you're playing only jazz or only classical, or you're a studio musician, you're playing in pits for musicals and different stuff like that, you're going into the studio and filling in where they drop sheet music in front of you and you have to play it. Those are the times when you need to be able to read it. Is it still a very useful skill that most guitar players would benefit from? Abso-freaking-lutely. But here's the trick. Most of us just don't read it often enough because we rely on tabs. So what do? Well, lucky for you, I've run into this situation several times. I'm going to show you how I use Guitar Pro. Right now I have Guitar Pro 8, that's what's out, and I'm going to show you how to take that sheet music that you've been given that has no guitar tab and how to use Guitar Pro to turn it into guitar tab. So let's jump onto the computer and dive right in. All right, so here we are on the computer. I am in Guitar Pro 8, and this is what we are going to use to be able to transcribe our standard notation into guitar tab and make our lives as guitar players a lot easier, okay? So what I did here is, this is an example that comes with Guitar Pro 8 of Amazing Grace. And what I did is I just opened it up, which if you don't know how to do that, you come up to File and you come down to Open Example, and they've got all these different cool examples here. One of my favorite actually is this Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. I want to sit down and learn that one. But I just came down to Amazing Grace right there. And so here we are with Amazing Grace. What I did for this though, to use this for an example, this has two tracks. It has the vocal track and it has the guitar track. And what I did is, in the right side pane here, I turned off the guitar tab for both of these, actually. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how, if you get a piece of music that looks like this, it's nothing, no guitar tab, just standard notation. How do we turn that into guitar tab so we can play it? I've had to do this for songs like my brother is a piano player and he will arrange songs or hymns, and when he brings it to me it's just standard notation, and then I go, okay, I don't have time for this, so I'm just gonna transcribe it into tab. Or I've had students come to me that are in jazz band at their school, and then we have to transcribe some stuff that they get in their pieces into tablature as well. So here's what you do. First of all, you're gonna open up a new file. So I'm just gonna come up to File and hit New, okay? And I'm just going to do a steel string acoustic guitar, 6 strings, standard tuning. That's all. I'm just going to keep it really basic for this, okay? Now, if I'm looking at my original file, if Amazing Grace here is what I need to transcribe, let's look at the vocal part first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to match all the info for the song first. So I'm going to look at the tempo. I'm going to look at if it has a swing to it. I'm going to look at the key signature. I'm going to look at the time signature. And these are the things that are going to be the most important to get down first, okay? So this is a tempo of 60 beats per minute. So on my new file, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on this. And I'm going to type in 60 beats per minute right there. And it is in 3/4 time. So I'm going to come over here and click on my time signature. Or you can do this in the left pane over here too. You can, either way works, but I'm going to click on that and select 3/4. And then that's good. And then there was a swing to it. So the way that you do the swing is over here in this left pane, there is this button right here with a triplet 8th note, 16th note thing right there for the triplet feel. And this is a triplet 8th feel, I believe, right? So I'm going to select that. There's all these different things that you can do. So whatever is at the beginning of your music, or if it doesn't have one of those, what I'm looking at is this right here. So this is 2 8th notes equal 3 8th notes in the same space. So that's a quarter note, which accounts for 2 8th notes and another 8th note. And that's what triplets are. Triplets are 3 notes squeezed into the space of 2. And so it's spread out just a little bit differently. And that's what gives us that shuffle feel, is when we play the first one of those and the last one of those three, right? So, so if your song has that, you select that and you make sure that you have that too, so that when you listen back, it's going to sound good. And now the last thing is the key signature right here. So this is 3 sharps. Now, if you don't even know your key signatures, that's okay. So come over here to these sharps right here. This is your key signature selection right there, or hit Command K if you're on Mac. And I'm going to come down to Note, and I'm going to look for the one that has 3 sharps, key of A. Okay. So there you go. If you know your circle of fifths, it's a lot easier to figure those out. And that's a whole other video that we can talk about. But all right, so now I've got kind of the meta info that I need for the song to make sure I'm at the right speed, I'm in the right key. That just prevents all sorts of accidental symbols being used all over the place. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to not put my cursor here in the guitar tab section, right? What I'm wanting to do is actually transcribe the notation. So I'm going to put my cursor up here in the notation, and I'm going to look at the first note. Now, if you know anything about notation and how to read notation, what lines and spaces are what, that's going to be very handy. I'll try as much as possible to not talk like over your head or anything, but this first note is on the bottom line of the staff here. This is an E note. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to arrow down until my cursor is right there. Okay. And the type of note that we have is it's an 8th note. So I'm going to hit the plus symbol so that it'll change to an 8th note. And now here's the trick. What I'm going to do is I can press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and that will transcribe it to whatever string I want. That's one of the tricks with the guitar, is we can usually play the exact same note in about 4 different places on different strings. And so if I hit 1 right there, you see in the tablature, it says it's too low for that. So I can't do that. So let's try 2. Oh, there we go. On my 2nd string, that note. Oh, wait, nope. That's the wrong note, Brad. Put it back up here. Put it on the E. There we go. Oh, still too low for that one, right? So let's try 3. Still too low for, oh, wait. Did I hit 3 that time? Yeah. 4. There we go. So let's hit 4 on that one, right? Now let's look at the next note. We're going to jump all the way up to this A note, which is the 2nd space. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to move my cursor right there. You can click on it, or you can do that. And let's hit 4 again. That works pretty good. Maybe I could try 3. Oh, wait, no, that was wrong. 3. There we go. Check that out. So now I have a note in the tablature on my 3rd string, on my 4th string first, and then on my 3rd string. Now here's the trick. As you are going through this and doing this, is you're going to have some knowledge of playable shapes on the guitar neck. So if you don't know your 3-note per string scales or your cage scales or something like that across the neck, it's going to make this a lot more arduous of a process, because you're going to have to stop and actually try playing what you're transcribing. Okay, because since we can play the same note in different places on the guitar, we want to make sure that what we're transcribing into the tablature is actually something that's playable. And sometimes I will transcribe something and then I'll play it and I'll be like, you know what? I don't really like that way to play it as much. I would rather play it this way, and I will go back and change it in the tablature to make it easier. All right, so let's keep going with this for just a minute. Let's go on to the next note in this vocal melody. I'm going to just go over to the next measure all the way like that, and see how it goes red. Now check this out. This is what we call a pickup bar, okay? That's what we always called it in jazz band when I was in high school. And so what I'm going to do to make it so that this measure is no longer red, this is the program saying, this is an incomplete measure. You got something bad going on here, right? So I'm going to actually right click on this and come down to bar. And then I'm going to come down to anacrusis or pickup bar and click that. And now when I leave that bar, it is not red. Now, I did notice that measure also has a double bar line. So I'm just going to come over here. I've got my note in that measure selected. I'm going to come over to the left pane and click double bar line. And that should give me a double bar line, right? There we go. Okay. Now, my next note is another A note, and it's a dotted quarter note. So let's come over here. That's the same note, and I did that on the third string. So let's come back up to A up here. I like, when I'm doing this, I like to just stay on the same thing. Now, right now I'm set for an eighth note, so I'm going to hit my minus symbol. That drops it down to a quarter note. And then on the keyboard, I'm going to hit my period, which makes it a, that sounds funny. That's what she said. That makes it a dotted quarter note, okay? And so that is my next one. And then let's see, we're going to go up to the C note right here. So this is the 1, 2, 3, the third space up from the bottom. If you are familiar with anything, then you know that that is a C note and it's an eighth note. So I'm just going to hit my plus symbol and turn off my the dot with the period key. And I'm going to hit, let's hit 2. Oh, there we go, right? Now check this out. The next one is another C, and those are tied together. So let's go over to the next note. I'm just going to click over with my arrow and hit 2. And then to tie these together over here, you can use this button right here to tie note. But the shortcut on your keyboard for that is L. So I just click L usually. And then our next note, we're going to go down to a B note right there. Let's see. So, and you know, don't get mad at me because I said that was a C, because I know it's really C sharp because of the key signature. Give me a break, guys. Okay. Yep. So B, and then after that, we're going to do another A. Okay. So I'm just going to do both of those. So there's B, and let's do B on the second string. And then let's come over to, oh, here's the trick. That is a triplet, right? So if I want this to be in the measure, I need to set those as a triplet like that. So I'm going to highlight these 2 eighth notes. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit triplet, or you can hit your backslash, right? And I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to come down to my A note right there. I'm going to hit 3 right there, right? So you can see this is a little bit of a tedious process. It's a little bit arduous, but it is something that is very handy. And the biggest thing to keep in mind is you find the note that you're looking for, right? And then you decide, you have to decide what string you want to play that note on. And the more knowledge that you have of scales and their positions on the fretboard and how they work together and where it's playable and all that stuff is really what's going to make it a lot easier for you. Is there a faster way to do this? Not that I know of. I mean, I have not played with any of these MIDI guitars like a Fretlight or anything like that. If they want to send me one, they can. I'll try it out and see if you can do that, because I'm pretty sure that there is a setting here in Guitar Pro where you can plug in a MIDI guitar and have it do that. But I've never done that myself. So this is the process that I go through. I don't have to do it too often just because nowadays, most of the time I can find the guitar tablature for whatever I need, but it usually is one of those instances of a student bringing in something that needs transcribed into tablature, or me doing something that my brother has done or that I'm doing for a show I've played for musicals that needs transcribed into tablature just to make it easier, right? Now, just one more thing. Let's go into the next measure, and this is supposed to be a quarter note, so I'm going to hit minus. And as you get really familiar with this, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier, and you're going to get way fast with this, especially if you use the shortcuts, which anytime you want to know a shortcut, anytime you're changing between, note duration, it's plus and minus. Those are the buttons to use. But for anything else in here, you can hover over what you want to do, and it'll show you what your shortcut is that you're going to use for that. Okay. And that makes life so much easier. All right. So the last thing in this third measure here, I'm going to come back up to this C sharp, and make that a quarter note, right? So let's come up to that C sharp and let's do that again. We did that on the second string, right? And I'm going to turn off the triplet on that too. And then I'm going to bump over to the next beat, and that is a rest. So I'm just going to hit R, and then our next note is a B again. So I'm going to come back over to the next beat, go down to my line for B and hit 2. There we go, right? So now if I play this back, I've got my tempo, I've got my key signature, I've got my swing feel, and I've got everything pretty much matching exactly in the notation what I've got here on my original, right? Now, obviously, I'm not always transcribing this from a piece of music that I can just come over here and turn on the tablature, right? This is just an example for you guys, okay? But I'm going to hit play on this and listen to it. Right? And so that way I can look at that and I can try playing it that way. And then if I go, you know what, I don't like this position, I don't like playing it that way, I can change it. I can try different strings for each note. I can do all sorts of stuff. But I hope that is helpful for you, because really that is the whole process. And it would just be really tedious and really long if I were to go through a whole piece and break down everything for you. But I hope that you get a lot out of that. And I hope that that is useful so that when you do run into something, then you can transcribe it and you can have tablature for whatever you need. So there you go, guys. That's how you create guitar tab using Guitar Pro when you've just been given sheet music that has standard notation. I really do hope this was helpful for you. If it was, let me know down in the comments. And also, if you haven't picked it up, I have a gift for you at my website. It's called The Top 10 Things to Learn on Guitar First, and it's a guide for you. It's 10 things that get students a lot of bang for their buck when they are learning guitar. It's 10 things I love to teach people all the time. And so you can go to simpleguitar.com/top10 and you can pick up that guide. All you have to do is put in your email and subscribe to my mailing list, and I'll email that right over to you, and you can unsubscribe at any time. No hurt feelings. I just want to help you out and make learning guitar simple. So have fun. I hope that was useful for you. So go transcribe some stuff using Guitar Pro 8. Now, if you want to see some other cool stuff that Guitar Pro 8 can do, check out this video where I answered a bunch of questions that I got about Guitar Pro 8 and different things within that. And you're going to find a lot of good stuff in that video. So I will see you in the next video.